For latest astrology videos, subscribe AstroEdify channel and press this bell icon to get notified when a new video goes live.
Hello everybody, welcome to AstroEdify. Today we are going to talk about Rahu in Sagittarius and Ketu in Gemini. What kind of results we can see if these two planets are sitting in these two zodiac signs. So let's start this video. If you want to book a consultation for yourself, you can go on this website. The link is given in the description. So we are going to talk about the Rahu in Sagittarius and Ketu in Gemini. We are going to discuss 4 scenarios here, mainly 2 cases with 2 sub cases in it. And I've already made a detailed video on what are Rahu and Ketu. What do they signify, what do they control and represent, and how do they impact us? And I've discussed through various perspectives from astronomical, astrological and philosophical perspective. I have made that video. You can watch that. Its link is shown in the card section above as well as mentioned in the description below. So today we are going to talk about Rahu in Sagittarius first. Now before moving on, we are going to see 2 main cases. First is, if Rahu is stronger than Ketu, then what kind of results we can expect? And then second, if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, then what kind of results we can expect? I have already mentioned before that Rahu and Ketu are always in front of each other, but you have to judge that among these two, who is stronger. The one who is stronger than the other, that will be primarily relevant, and it's going to bring major results in life, and the other planet will give a result keeping itself under the dominion of the stronger one. So if Rahu is stronger than Ketu, then what kind of results we can see, and vice versa, if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, then what kind of results we can see. And within these 2 major categories, 2 sub cases will also be taken. If Rahu is stronger than Ketu, then if Rahu is well placed and good, then what kind of results it can bring. If bad, then what. And similarly for Ketu, if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, if it is good, then what kind of results, and bad, then what kind of results. So these 4 cases will be taken today. So we will start with the placement of Rahu is stronger than Ketu, and if Rahu is getting the support from Jupiter, Moon and Lagna Lord in the chart, means it is well placed, it is making good combination, and it has full favorable support and strength from Jupiter, Moon and Ascendant Lord, then Rahu will be considered favorable, and it will have capacity to induce good results and bring favorable scenarios in life. Now what kind of results we can expect here? Now if Rahu is well placed, then it makes person what you can say passionate, deeply interested in higher learning or any kind of learning or subjects, or to get into the depth of knowledge about anything. It depends on the placement in the chart, how other planets are placed, whether the person is interested in spiritual knowledge or material knowledge, that depends on the chart. But here, if Rahu is strong and Jupiter is well placed, other planets are fine, then it means that Rahu has capacity to bring good results. It's not always bad, because Sagittarius is considered a negative sign for Rahu. Many people take it as a debilitation sign. I have already clarified before in my last video, where I have talked about Rahu is debilitated in Scorpio, not in Sagittarius. You can watch the reason there. But here, this is also not considered a good sign for Rahu. The reason is that Rahu and Jupiter are enemies, bitter enemies. And Rahu is ignorance, means agyana. And Rahu is immorality, adharma. And Jupiter and Sagittarius are jnana, knowledge and wisdom, and dharma means ethics and morals and virtues. So Rahu feels very uncomfortable and really down in this zodiac sign. Hence many people take it as a debilitation sign, but it is not the reason that it is debilitated. The major reason is it is in Scorpio. I have already told that before. The thing here is that if Rahu is strong, then what will happen? That Rahu, instead of giving negative results, it can make person deeply interested in learning some subjects and give in-depth knowledge about that subject. Because Rahu is research, analysis, and knowing about the hidden things. That is what Rahu is. So if it is strong, it will bring these kind of positive aspects. Then Rahu can make person quite curious about anything, particularly about any subjects or pursuing any knowledge, but it makes person curious, intelligent, gives good memory, sharpness of mind, interest in multiple things and subjects, and also brings deep conceptual insightful thinking, means where person has ability to see the big picture by connecting the dots, that kind of thing. And it also gives person foresight, logical and rational belief system, because Sagittarius is your belief system, the things which you believe in. So Rahu is a logical, rational planet. So it constructs your belief system on the basis of logic, facts, and rationality and skepticism, rather than blindly believing something. Then, but this will only happen if Rahu is good, otherwise not. And apart from that, it can also, what you can say, make person more open-minded, unorthodox, unconventional, and a person who is not really very prejudiced or biased in kind of judgment, that kind of thing. So but that will only happen if Rahu is well placed and receives support from Jupiter, ninth house, moon, and ascendant lord. Otherwise these things are quite unlikely to be seen. But these are the what you can say, highest potential results of Rahu, which can be seen if it is in Sagittarius and is well placed. Next thing, Rahu can make person initially confused, quite confused about one's own self, own life, own goals, moral conduct, ideals, belief systems, principles. In general, it can bring initial identity crisis to the person, but gradually over a period of time, it brings maturity after gaining clarity and wisdom in life. Also, it will have to means person will have to put self effort to learn something, because here you do not get good teachers easily. It until unless other combinations are not trumping this situation, it won't happen, because Rahu does not support teachers and mentors. It means that I have to learn on my own. So that kind of situation, and it can bring initial bias, prejudiced, judgmental belief system or perception of the perception of the person to see the world, or a projection kind of thing, where you blame to some situation or circumstance for your own mistakes and faults. But over a period of time, gradually it breaks and transforms this kind of perception, this kind of behavior into a better one, which is without these negative aspects. And that is the highest possible result which Rahu can manifest in this case. And person is able to accept and see their mistakes and self-introspect, rather than blaming out towards some particular person or scenario or circumstance in their life. And they are willing to improve themselves, rather than changing the world around them. They are willing to improve themselves. This is the biggest result, or the highest possible result of good Rahu in Sagittarius, because Rahu is self-denial and deception. I will talk about the negative features as well later, where you will see that why this kind of result is extremely unlikely for Rahu to give in this situation, but it has this full potential. If Jupiter is fine and Rahu is well placed, it can bring this kind of behavior pattern or result in person's life as well. Then it makes person knowledgeable, innovative, over speculative, research oriented, can also bring a philosophical zeal, and gives existential angst in life. If good spiritual yogas are there, then it is excellent for Jnana Yoga, means following the path of knowledge, Raj Yoga, following the path of meditation, and any kind of learning about occult subjects like astrology, palmistry, numerology, etc. And it is also good for deep spiritual practices like sannyasa, or performing any austerities, or having self-realization as well. So here, if Rahu is receiving support from Jupiter, it has capacity to bring self-realization, what you truly are, Atma Bodha. That is the highest manifestation of any planet. So that is also possible in this placement. But and that is why I say that never judge a planet just by saying that, okay, it is in a bad sign, it will always give bad results. If you have to, if you are looking at the entire chart, you can see that, yeah, Rahu, if it is well placed, it has these capacities also to bring in life. Then it is a good situation for learning about or giving any interest or learning about literature, writing, philosophy, religion, culture, mythology, anthropology, psychology, political science, law, medicine, IT, electronics, communication, and electrical engineering. These kind of fields are very favorable for Rahu placed in Sagittarius if it makes good yogas. So these are quite conducive results for Rahu. Then also person understands here, this is also a good characteristic of Rahu here, that it makes person understand the necessity of law or the dharma. Dharma means the morality and ethics and the implementation of law and order in society. Okay, it can bring that kind of understanding that these are necessary in order to have a healthy functioning society, but it does not make person overly optimistic or extremely idealistic, which Jupiter does. Jupiter means I am overly optimistic and extremely idealist in my thinking, which is impossible or not at all feasible in order to implement in a real world society. So Rahu understands that gap, and it brings a what you can say, a combination where a person is able to understand the law implementation and the for the healthy functioning of the society, means to impose the dharma, but along with Rahu like qualities, they understand they need to utilize tactics, diplomacy, politics, strategy, cleverness in order to make this society better. It's not like that I have to take other people into account who are corrupt, who are immoral, who are unethical, and they are not going to listen to my lectures. They are not going to adhere to my belief systems and philosophies, which say that you must be a good man. So Rahu makes person understand that real world scenario as well, and try to work out in a balanced approach rather than becoming too idealistic like Jupiter does. So this is also a quite good situation, particularly for people who are serving in such capacities where they have that kind of decision making abilities to impose any kind of law and policy and other things in society. So in general also, on a individualistic scale, Rahu can bring this kind of internal thinking pattern. So these are quite good results of Rahu in Sagittarius. Now, if we talk about the negative side, if Rahu is bad, what happens that if Jupiter, Moon and Lagna Lord and 9th house, you need to check the 9th house in this place as well. If they are not well placed, afflicted, making bad combinations, then Rahu will lose all the power. It will have propensity to bring a lot of negative results in life as well. Now, the things which I am going to say here, treat it like a source of information. Do not jump to conclusions. You have to analyze the entire chart in order to make some proper judgment. I am just giving all possible scenarios of Rahu placed in Sagittarius if it is bad. So these things can be seen, all of these things or some of these things can be seen if it is bad, but you have to judge the entire chart in totality. Until and unless you are unable to do that, treat it like a source of information, nothing more than that. So the thing here is that if Rahu is negative, then it can make it bring what you can say, it can have a person can have a weak or no conscience at all, because Sagittarius is your conscience, inner voice which tells you what is right and wrong. So Rahu can either weaken it, or it can totally diminish it or destroy it. So it can make person with weak or no conscience, either no morals or ethics or values or principles are there, or the belief systems, morals, ethics, values, principles are totally corrupt. So that kind of result can be seen. It can make person incompassionate, extremely selfish, rigid, biased in nature, and the belief system can be of different kinds. It can be distorted, limited, narrow, orthodox, superstitious, fearful, prejudiced, polarized, judgmental, full of bigotry, full of fundamentalist values, a separative, hateful and illogical belief system or ideology or thinking can be seen. It can bring that kind of negative thought patterns and belief systems to the person. Instead of realizing that humanity is more important than the religion or any kind of unnecessary, stupid values which serve no purpose, Rahu can bring that extreme fundamentalist, rigid belief in stupid ideologies which serve no purpose rather than creating division and harming the people and degrading humanity day by day. So that kind of people can be seen. Person thinks that they are right always and others are mere fools or completely wrong, and they want to impose their flawed ideology onto others whether by any means, by hook or by crook. We can see populist leaders with this. We can see politicians who are bipolarizing the society for their selfish gains. So that can be seen, and it can make person with a very fragile ego and identity crisis at its peak. It can easily a person can be easily brainwashed in this situation, and can bring what you can say adamant limited viewpoint what they have learned. They think that what they have learned, that is the entire truth, and nothing exists beyond that, and if anything is different from it, it is either wrong and I should hate that. So that kind of stupid thinking can be seen. Then superiority and inferiority or god complex can be given. It can make person egomaniac, bossy, authoritative, desperate for power or position. Either no good knowledge or education can be seen, or wrong use of knowledge or education can be seen. It makes person facilitator of adharma in society. Adharma means corruption in society. So facilitator of corruption in society, it can be in any form. It can be with greed, violence, through politics, through populism, through religion also. It can through anarchy, crime, twisted and wrong beliefs, or propagation of twisted and wrong beliefs among people, misinformation among people, unnecessary wrongful propagandas driven by any particular organizations or governments or parties in order to what you can say polarize the population into or multiple fragments, that kind of thing. Then also it can show cultural pollution, which can be done by corrupt teachers, professors and educational institutions also, because Sagittarius represents that. It can be done by media, because Sagittarius is printing media and editing. It can show a person who is a total hypocrite. No application of knowledge, never learn from any mistakes, misguide others, can go to any lengths to fulfill their selfish desires, you can see corrupt and dirty politicians with this. I am not saying that other combinations and other placements are not responsible for that. Other combinations are also responsible for that. I've already talked about them in past videos. But in this situation, particularly, Rahu has this full capacity to induce this kind of negative results. We can see dirty politicians, bureaucrats, officials in corporate or public world, fake gurus, fake teachers, fake intellectuals, biased media and publicists, criminals of all kinds, bigots and fundamentalists, terrorists, sociopaths and psychopaths. So these kind of negative, harsh results are also possible by Rahu in Sagittarius. But as I said, treat it as a source of information. Don't jump to conclusions. Just think here that a knowledge is being shared. You just have to accept it. Next point here is that it can also show people who reject their own cultural values, religion, ancient history, philosophy to portray something different entirely, to portray themselves as cool and pseudo-modern in society, to seek validation from their peers or from any other group of people. That kind of people can also be seen. But this is a quite common scenario. It can be seen in other placements of Rahu in different signs. But here it is more likely to happen. Next thing, it can show either the person has no education or difficulty in education, learning, or any kind of having a degree. Or we can see a people who have fake degrees, or bad and corrupt teachers or mentors or father, of issues to father, health issues to father can be seen, problems in relationship with father can be seen, or what you can say, absence of father can be seen, means father could not have been there in your life. So issues to father or with father can be seen, and similarly issues to gurus or teachers or with gurus or teachers can be seen. Rahu can manifest or bring bad company, bad habits, addictions, no concentration and attention, lethargy, procrastination, lies, manipulation, cunningness. Person tends to blame others for their own faults and mistakes and failures rather than self-introspecting and improving their own weaknesses, and find excuses all the time. It makes person extremely irresponsible, because that is what Rahu is. Then It also has full capacity, if it is making such combinations, to bring all kind of mental health issues and disorders. Problems related to the house particularly can be seen where Rahu and Ketu are placed. So see here that the adharma which I talked about, the corruption in society, it leads to death of civilization over a period of time. Huh? So here what happens is that Rahu has that full capacity to induce that kind of result, which I talked in detail. So, no doubt these are extremely harsh, negative, bad results of Rahu, which can induce fear in you just by listening to them. But you don't have to come to any kind of result or speculation until and unless you have not judged the entire chart, because all planets, all yogas, and particularly analyzing Rahu and Ketu is difficult because they depend on other planets to give results. So you have to see the entire chart in totality and then see how the things are happening. Now we will talk about the second case, that is if Ketu is stronger than Rahu, then what kind of results we can see. So if Ketu is in Gemini and it is well placed, it receives support from Mercury, Moon and Lagna Lord, means they are also well placed, making good combinations and yogas in the chart. Then Ketu will have good or strong capacities to bring positive results, more favorable situations in life, and bring good behavior patterns as well. Now what kind of results can be seen? It can make person introvert or ambivert, not extrovert most of the time, mainly introvert or ambivert. Limited social interaction, a person is more reserved, private kind of individual who likes isolation. It brings good speech and language command, because Ketu is good for language and communication if Mercury supports it. So it can bring that ability to speak and write and have good command on languages, and well versed in a style of speech and communication. But the person engages in logical, factual, realistic and meaningful communication. It can be written or verbal, and rather than talking all the time gibberishly, not like that. So that kind of style of communication can be seen, and it can also show generation of good ideas and sharing those ideas in whatever form, and hence more time in thinking is dedicated because ideas take time to come. And here Ketu makes intellectual, factual communication quite good, but the emotional expression becomes weak. So here we can say a person can have a good style of speech in communicating and sharing their ideas and talking to people, but when it comes to sharing of feelings and emotions, the things which they feel internally, that becomes a challenge. So poor emotional expression can be seen. Ketu does not promote diplomacy. Ketu is a straightforward planet, so it can also make persons style of communication more straightforward, rather than indulging into smooth talk and manipulation and diplomacy and tact. So Ketu is more aggressive, hence mostly straightforward, factual communication can be seen. Then even if the person sometimes they want to go for the path of diplomatic communication and more manipulative and more smooth talk and charming nature, Ketu reduces that. It does not let the person do that easily. Then it can also bring confusion, means you do not know what you want to say. A lot of things are going in your mind, and you prepare yourself, but whenever you say something, it's not the way did you wanted to say that. So that kind of thing can also be seen. It gives person more rebellious, thought provoking, unconventional, intuitive and ahead of time mindset and ideas. If it is good, then it promotes good logic, reason, analysis, calculation, research and detail to learn about anything or any higher knowledge or any subject in depth. And also, as I said, it gives ability to cross refer from one subject to another and connect the dots and see the big picture in totality. Then Ketu can bring anxiety and over speculation of things. Even if it is well placed, still we can see that a lot of overthinking can be seen. For various subjects like language, linguistics, literature, writing, mass communication, journalism, IT, electronics communication, electrical, these things, these subjects, for them, Ketu is considered very good in this position, and it is also supportive for good business acumen if combinations are happening in the chart for that. So these are quite favorable, positive, auspicious results of Ketu in Gemini. Now we will talk about the last case. If Mercury, Moon and Ascendant Lord are badly placed, then Ketu becomes negative, it has no support, and if Ketu is also afflicted and a malefic in the chart, then this situation becomes more harmful. So it can bring a lot of negative, harsh results. Again, don't jump to conclusions, treat it as a source of information. Now the thing here is that Ketu can bring bad, hurtful, rash, hateful and harsh, illogical, irrational style of speech. It can also show or abusive style of speech as well. It can also show problems in speaking, like people who have delayed speech or speech problems of all kinds, like stammering, not able to speak clearly. So these kind of things can be seen. It can also make person overly argumentative, critical, and we can see you're always see, there is a difference between putting your point of view and fighting. In this case, instead of putting your point of view, person starts to fight. They tend to get offended easily, that kind of thing. So easily offended by things, even if they are not said in that way or intention, the way you thought it. So that kind of thing can be seen. Then it can show language and learning disorders, very poor social and emotional communication or expression, very poor. You are which I discussed before. Then speak without thinking, because Ketu is what? Irrationality. You and impulsiveness. So you don't think before you speak. So speaking without thinking and later on regretting that or facing harsh consequences of it, that kind of thing. And speech ruins the relationships with people. Ketu also brings a lot of confusion, anger, violence, frustration, jealousy, hatred, unclear thinking, poor attention span, impulsiveness, rumor mongering, bitterness, resentment, arrogance, sadism, or vindictive, vengeful thinking. A person holds grudges, that kind of mentality to the people also. It has that capacity to bring these kind of results. Then you use communication to, as I said before, in negative Rahu, to create division and create hate among people, that kind of thing. But it makes person a coward. Then it can also show a lot of mental health issues like anxiety, fear, paranoia, depression, sleep problems. Many health issues can also be seen on a physical scale, like infection, ear, nose, throat issues, respiration, nervous system, skin, arms and shoulders related issues, chest problems, memory issues, and any kind of health issues which are not easily diagnosed or not easily treated. Person, it can also bring a lot of self denial and deception in thinking. Person wants to live in their own bubble and do not want to face reality and accept it. A person has more laid back approach and find excuses in doing anything and blame others for their own failures. Irresponsible behavior, don't want to do anything, don't have any kind of desire left. Even if the desires are there, you don't want to go for the hard work which is necessary to fulfill those desires. Then it can show no willpower, indiscipline, bad company and habits, as similar results like Rahu in Sagittarius can be seen. So these are the negative side of Ketu. Of course, I have discussed, and no doubt they are quite harsh, but you have to just understand that these are the consequences or most possible results of a particular planet placed in a zodiac sign. You just have to see the entire chart. So I have completed here Rahu in Sagittarius and Ketu in Gemini. I hope that you would have understood that what kind of results they can bring in general. But in order to specify and come to a proper conclusion, you have to see the chart. So that's all from my side in today's video. If you are new to my channel, subscribe below for more. Check on my website and Facebook page and Instagram. Their links are shown in the description. Otherwise, we will meet in the next video. Talk about Rahu and Ketu in Capricorn and Cancer. Till then, goodbye and thank you.